Welcome to Better System Trader, the podcast to help systematic traders of all levels improve their trading. We'll give you loads of expert tips and practical advice on system design and validation, money management, trading psychology, and many other topics. Whether you're just starting out or a savvy systematic trader, we're here to help you improve your trading and find more success. This is Better System Trader with your host, Andrew Swanscott.
Hi there, welcome to Better System Trader episode number 120, and today we're going to inject some inspiration, or perhaps you could call it motivation, into this week's Thursday trading thought. Because trading is a really tough business, and sometimes as traders we can get into a bit of a funk no matter what level of trading we're at, because we're only human and we're all trying to get better. So in this episode I've pulled together 3 of my favourite stories or motivations from the podcast over the years. Now, we have had a lot of inspirational guests on the show, so I could have pulled out a whole bunch of these, but I just want to keep it short for this Thursday trading thought. So I'm going to share 3 that have that stood out to me. I didn't actually mean that to rhyme, but it came out sounding quite fine. Oh dear. Anyway, getting back on track here. This first one is from Stuart McPhee, and he's going to tell us a story about bamboo and how that relates to trading. I think you're right that a lot of trading is not really about getting those foundations down. So I think it's good to have a think about where your trading is and how those foundations could be impacting your results.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is in the book. It's certainly in presentations I give the idea of the Chinese bamboo plant, which is I can't remember if this is actually in the book, but I certainly talk about it being the fastest growing plant in the world. But when you first plant one, it actually doesn't grow. Like for the first 3 or 4 years, nothing happens. Or so it seems. What it's actually doing is growing its foundations and its root system underground. It does this for years. And then once that's ready, then its growth is just ridiculous. So it's actually doing a very, very important role of establishing those foundations. And if it didn't do that, then it might topple over. It may not grow as quickly. And sure, it'd grow, but not the rate that it actually eventually does grow. And it all comes down to sometimes sacrificing things over the short term in the pursuit of longer term objectives. And we can, as humans, are very easily focused on short term and not so focused on longer term.
The next one is from Rob Bubalowski from TradeView Investments. I kind of catch him out a little bit here at the end with the question on what important aspects a trader needs to master to become successful, but he gives a really great response. So let's hear from Rob. So if you had to boil it down to just one skill, what do you think is the most important aspect a trader needs to master to become successful?
Ooh, I didn't expect that question. You know what? I actually didn't expect that one. That's a killer. One skill.
Or maybe not a skill, an attitude or a behaviour.
Wow. Sorry, mate. You actually did stump me.
Do you want me to ask another question and we'll come back to it?
No.
I mean, you've been kind of indicating all through the interview about the type of things that traders need to overcome and what they need to do to become successful. So I think you've already kind of touched on it a little bit, but.
Yeah. Look, I'd probably say from my end, from what I've done, is that little bit extra. It's not a skill. It's a state of mind. It's that little bit extra, Andrew. I can't explain it. It's pushing through the barriers because it is hard. It is hard. And if you don't toughen up yourself, the market will beat you down because the market is a very, very big place. And it doesn't know where my stop losses are, even though it stops me out sometimes. So yep. I think that's the key. It's that little bit extra, that push through, that determination. But at the same time, it's sort of a combination of things. If you don't, if you're not on the right path from a model perspective, then you can have as much determination as you like, and you're never going to get it right.
Yeah.
So. One thing, it's like maybe it's a couple of things. I don't know. Get the models right and have the determination at the same time.
And this final one is from Larry Williams, who has had a phenomenal trading career and been an inspiration to so many traders. And here he is answering a listener question about what keeps him motivated. And during his response, he shares the real driver behind peak performance. So over to Larry. And a question from Martin. He says, you've been doing this for a long time. What keeps you motivated to get up in the morning and keep putting on new trades?
Well, there's a couple of things. This is all I know how to do in life. I don't know anything else. I tried other things, by the way. I used to own a bank, manage heavyweight fighters, owned a big medical company. All those things were good, but you know what? I wasn't very good at them. I managed money for a while. Oh my gosh, you got to have lawyers and go to meetings and coats and ties and vests. I'm not good at that. I'm pretty much a free spirit guy. So this is my life, and I realized that maybe about 15 years ago. So, this is what you do, Williams, and you better be happy doing it. So the motivation now is, I've got enough money I wouldn't have to work ever again. But the motivation really is to be better. And I think that's the way it is in any peak performance is not driven by money. Peak performance is driven by a huge passion to get better at this, to be the best it's ever been, which I'm not even close to it, but I'm working on it. There's a lot of traders a lot better than me, but hopefully I can get kind of into that arena at some point. It's really all about learning. Just so fascinating. This whole subject is, from the first time I first look at a chart, I go, wow, this just grabbed my heart and soul, and it still has my heart and soul, and the passion to be just a little bit better at it tomorrow than I was yesterday.
So there we go. That's 3 of my favourite trading inspirations. I hope you enjoyed those. If you'd like to hear more from any of those interviews, head on over to bettersystemtrader.com. There is a search bar at the top of the website, so you'll be able to find those easily. Enjoy the rest of your week and happy trading. Okay, well that's it for this episode. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the show. Come on over to bettersystemtrader.com. That's where you'll find all the previous episodes, all the transcribes, all the show notes, and all the free weekly trading tips. bettersystemtrader.com.